Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. For those of you who may not know, my name is Connor Kelly O'Brien. I am the co-founder and executive director of the Scranton Fringe Festival. We are getting lots of people joining in. Wonderful. I want to thank everyone so much for being with us this afternoon. Thank you for your patience. We had a slightly late start, but it's only more time to gather your questions. For those who do not know, the Scranton Fringe Festival is a performing arts nonprofit organization that usually is a large festival in the fall every year in downtown Scranton. This would have been our 6th year of the traditional festival, but obviously COVID-19 has changed almost every facet of our waking life. But one of the, I'm not going to say good things, but a cool thing that's come out of this is an exciting new program called Fringe Under Glass that we're going to be talking with today. Fringe festivals happen all over the world. The first began in Edinburgh, Scotland in 1947. It's the largest annual ticketed event in the world, largest arts festival, period. And the director or founder of the Rome Fringe Festival once said something that's always really struck a chord with me, is that a fringe festival is a mask that must fit the face of whatever city it's taking place in. So a big part of our mission has always been not only creating an accessible and engaging platform for artists and audiences, but promoting Scranton and greater Northeast Pennsylvania as a viable creative marketplace. So when we were creating this very unique program under very unique, unprecedented times, we of course wanted to work with our city leadership to make sure that our mask, no COVID pun intended, literally fit the face of the city we were operating in. So we are going to be having a brief chat today with the Mayor of Scranton for about 10 minutes or so. We encourage you to comment below to ask questions related to the Scranton art scene or particularly this program, Fringe Under Glass. If you do have other city-related questions, that's fantastic. You're welcome to ask them. We are limited for time, so we do encourage you, if need be, to contact Scranton 311 at scrantonpa.gov. I'll put that up on the screen momentarily. And you can always join the mayor during her live town halls every Friday at noon on social media. So without further ado, I am so pleased to welcome the Honorable Mayor of Scranton, Paige Cognetti. Good morning, Mayor. Good afternoon, Mayor. How are you?
Hi, we are great. This whole year, right, has been about surprises, and childcare during COVID is one of those surprises/challenges. So here we are with me and the Deputy Mayor Sloan. So thanks for letting both of us join you. I wore, for the Fringe Festival, I wore actually like a kind of a cool necklace, but she's really excited about it. So we're just going to be kind of even here.
Well, wonderful. And thank you so much for juggling so much right now. I think and this is a whole conversation that we don't have time for, but I would be fascinated to learn at the end of this year what your first year as Mayor of Scranton has been like, because not only, and I'll let everyone do their own research, not only was your election and, a rise to the mayor historic in so many ways and unique in so many ways as a special election, but then to, not only take on the city's challenges, but take on the largest pandemic in 100 years is really, really incredible. And I'm so grateful you made the time to do this. I am broadcasting live from the hill section of Scranton, so I also apologize in advance. My child distraction is going to be trucks going by. So hey, work happening.
Commerce is good for us. So.
I wanted just to take a few minutes to talk a little bit about Fringe Under Glass. So I know you're already aware of all of this. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about, so our friends out there who may not be familiar with it can learn a little bit more, and then I'll turn it back over to you if that's okay. So I mentioned earlier before we brought you on that the Fringe Festival is normally a large performing arts festival. So we are, this year, because of COVID, we decided to transition into, obviously, a safe model. Lots of Fringe festivals around the world have transitioned to fully digital, and that's fantastic. And we did something like that similar early in the year with social distancing theater, an online program we created. But we knew that if we were going to do something this fall, we didn't want to call it the festival, and we didn't want to just be digital if we could do so safely. So when we broke it down, I think it was actually thrown out in a virtual board meeting as a joke, but the idea of, well, what if we did it behind glass, and what if we did it in storefront windows? And in a microcosmic way, it really has beautifully captured all of our major, points: supporting artists, engaging audiences, activating spaces in the downtown section of Scranton. So Fringe Under Glass, which is this upcoming weekend, September 25th, 26th, and 27th, go to scrantonfringe.org/tickets. I'll put that up on the screen. Hello there. So it will place performing art safely behind glass. Our audiences will move from space to space wearing really cool wireless headsets by a Fringe tour guide, masked at all times, no more than 10 or so in a group. So we are falling well below city, state, and CDC guidelines. And then you will fully immerse yourself into about a 2-hour theatrical experience with an intermission, of course, access to a clean, sanitized, ADA-compliant restroom. We're really grateful to all the downtown businesses and storefronts that have been working with us in this process. And while it's not going to have quite the same impact as years prior economically or, quantity-wise, we really think it's going to be a fantastic event, and we're so excited for Scranton to experience it. And we're getting some really cool media attention, and it's really interesting to see how the world's eyes are turning to Scranton, obviously on the much larger scale due to the Democratic nominee, but even on this small arts and culture scale. So that's something we're really proud of.
Well, you guys have been so easy to work with from the beginning. When you first brought the Fringe Under Glass concept to me, I was excited about it, but mostly just grateful for the respect that you and the entire organization have shown to what's going on and what at the time, in the spring, where we thought we would be at this point. So I have to just thank you guys for taking everything so seriously. Not every group, most everyone does, but you guys were very, very deliberate in making the plans for this to make it as safe as possible. And I think you just laid out all the precautions that you've been putting forward. So I'm really excited about this. And I think it sets a good example for how you can be, well, it makes sense that you all would be the most creative, how we can be creative, but still safe.
And thank you. And I want to thank you and your team for being so open to communicating with us to, while we've been doing a lot of research and we've been meeting with professionals, it was nice to know that, as we were going along in the process, we could check in with you and be like, okay, this is how we're going to solve XYZ problem or safety concern. And knowing that it was adhering to not just the city, but the state and the federal guidelines, as you and your team obviously have to live with and interpret daily. So we do have a question, though, that's interesting that if you're okay with, I'm going to throw up on the screen real quick from Craig. Hello, Mayor. Have you considered forming a Scranton Arts Commission that would promote and create arts and culture events in the city? Am I correct in stating that thank you, Craig, first of all, for joining us. Am I correct in assuming that didn't something like that did exist in the pre-COVID world?
When Wayne Evans was mayor, he stood up an arts council, and it is something that is on my list to expand and bolster. We haven't gotten to everything yet this year, as we all know, but we're just doing the budget process now, and an arts commission is something that we're looking to fund in the budget. So the council is wonderful, and I want to make sure that we're not only like reinvigorating that, but adding to it, but I want to fund it in some way. And so that's going into the budget. We're really building this 2021 budget as a tool, not just as a tool to fund things, but to show our priorities, which is what a budget is supposed to be, right? So we have this general fund budget that is pretty haphazard, that we inherited, but as we go forward, we want to make sure we're very deliberate about funding different pieces on human rights, on arts, on environment, things like that, where it's not a lot of money, but we want to show through that budget and through funding, even in a small way, things like an arts commission, that we understand what makes up a city and what makes up a thriving city, and the arts are an integral part of that every single day.
That's fantastic. Thank you. And Craig, I'm just going to mention that if you want to get involved in that, or if you have further follow-up questions for the mayor and her team, you can always contact us right up on the screen now, scranton311@scrantonpa.gov. That's scranton311@scrantonpa.gov. That baby is stealing all of my spotlight, and it's doing so adorably. No, that's wonderful. So one more time, scranton311@scrantonpa.gov for this or anything we're talking about, because our time is going to be brief, and I know that there's a million follow-up questions that people could ask. Also, Craig, just wanted to mention, for anyone who may not be aware, Scranton is, of course, the seat of Lackawanna County, and we have a wonderful Lackawanna County Arts and Culture Department that has grant funding and is actually just opened up. Well, we'll soon be opening up funding for next year, and they do really, really cool programs. That's under the direction of Maureen McGuigan. So obviously not the city, and it's so fantastic to hear that the city is going to have its own revived and funded, however it may be commissioned. But if that's something you're interested in, I suggest, Craig, definitely check that out. Okay, and thank you. Mayor, so we'll get back to Fringe Under Glass before we wrap up for the day, but I just wanted to ask out of curiosity. So, I mean, you've mentioned the budget for next year. You've mentioned, all the things that you want to be working on going forward, but obviously there's a lot happening right now. So I know that the census has been a major focal point in the last few months, actually, of your administration. Can you talk a little bit about where Scranton currently stands in that conversation? Because I think it's important for people to know, Craig, and to your point, that funding and things like the arts and culture and humanities are dependent upon our community being properly counted.
Right. Well, you said it all for me. The arts and culture and the funding that a place like Maureen McGuigan is going to get at the county, all of that is based on the population, and any funding that we would potentially be eligible for in the arts at the city level, that would all be based on population. So we're basically leaving about $2,100 on the table for the next decade for each person that we don't count. So we've been focused on this, since truly day one from my inaugural speech, and putting a focus on the census, but we're still behind. We're still tracking underneath the Pennsylvania state average, which is tough to swallow. There is still a lot of fear out there. And I think we have a political discussion, but I think we know where that there already were fears, but I think the current administration has not helped in that. So I know that there are still people fearful. I know we have a coalition across the city of wonderful people who are in social services and trying their hardest to count as completely as we possibly can. So I have to thank everybody out there who's been helping, all the census workers, and we still have until September 30th. So if anyone that or you yourself, if it's been one of those things, if you're like me with some things, you're kind of, I don't have to do that yet. Not with the census, of course, but my inspection on the car, for example, like, I can do that next week, right? If you've been waiting, my2020census.gov right now, please, while you're on with us, open that other window, my2020census.gov. You will be done by the time Connor and I are offline, and you will be counted, and we will get more funding for not just the arts, but parks, fire trucks, education, all the things that we need so badly. So the census is super important. We did have a little bit of a kind of media day. We had a census caravan on Friday, and we did see that response rate tick up by 0.5%. So this little stuff does help. And here at the end, these last 2 weeks, it's got only 9 days. It's only 9 days. So we're going to keep pushing, but we need you to push too. So, remind your friends, remind your family. If there's somebody in your life who you think might be not doing it for fear of something, help go to the resources, my2020census.gov, or you can always email us at Scranton311, and we can get you the literature to walk through of why it is safe to answer the census. That information does not get shared with other government bureaus.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And my goodness, that, average $2,100 per person, just in my mind, quickly putting that into context, like one average neighborhood city block of Scranton, that could make or break the difference of an entire full-time salary for a city program, or an entire.
It's a lot of money. But speaking of money, I wanted to ask you, Connor, about the economic impact of the Fringe Festival. I know that it has a huge impact, and we're feeling the impact of not having full-fledged festivals throughout the city. But I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that, because that's an important aspect to talk about.
Thank you. Actually, the co-founder and my managing director at Fringe, Elizabeth Bowen, wrote a blog essay piece a few years ago called "Scranton is a Festival City," which was, not only was it kind of a promotion for all the festivals and city events we had leading up to the Fringe, and of course including the Fringe, but it really highlighted the various reasons why our city really seems to respond well to large festive festival engagement. Scranton loves a party, as everyone knows, but also its proximity to larger metropolitan areas, and its reasonable lack of reasonable lack of bureaucracy, but still being a large enough population. So we at the Fringe are really proud that we partnered with Dr. Robert McCage and his business honors program at the University of Scranton, who've been very helpful to us, to do an an audience impact survey for the last 3 or so years. And it was confirmed over the years that just the festival alone, so obviously in a normal year, the festival is about 2 weeks long, about 100 different performances and special events throughout those 2 weeks, all throughout downtown Scranton and sometimes beyond, generates about $250,000 minimally for the local economy. And a vast majority of that, I would argue, definitely stays in Scranton, if not a little bit outside of Lackawanna County. And that's everything from hotels to transportation to the ticketing fee, food, restaurants, retail stores, special vendors and event services that we have to hire. And it's just the impact that's the minimum. It's probably larger than that. So, if you figure that that's our one event that we do every year, and we do other events year round, that doesn't count towards that. And we're just one festival and organization that's still relatively new and young. So, I mean, we have nowhere compared to the years or resources compared to some great events like La Festa or the Parade or 1,000 other things that I'm going to fail to mention. It really just shows the power of arts culture and the creative arts industry that it has on our local economy. And that doesn't just influx money into these small businesses and these wonderful companies and organizations, but that's in turn tax revenue that, I'm preaching to the literal choir here that isn't going to
a literal choir on this. Yes.
exist this year. And so we are hopeful that while it's not going to be $250,000 plus, it's not going to be, approaching the $500,000 mark that we were hoping to this year in a pre-COVID world. We are still really hoping. So we are encouraging people to, if you're coming to Fringe Under Glass this upcoming weekend, first of all, I'm going to mention once real quick that if you'd like to buy tickets, please go to scrantonfringe.org/tickets. It's my team is literally messaging me on the side right now, telling me to remind people that we cannot buy tickets at the door. That is a logistic and COVID safety precaution. They have to be purchased in advance. We are keeping them very limited for the community's safety. So we don't want anyone to miss out who wants to see this, but at a certain point, as we get closer to the date, it will likely sell out. And if you are coming to Fringe Under Glass and you wanted to get a drink and a bite to eat at one of our many downtown, restaurants, please, please, please do them the courtesy and further safety precaution. Book a reservation. Make sure they have, the outdoor seating available that you feel most comfortable with. We want people to have a good time. We want people to start, reactivating spaces downtown and slowly getting back out into the community. But obviously, we want to do so safely. So please, please, please go buy tickets as soon as you can. Go to that link for more information. And of course, book your reservations soon. I wanted to thank you, Mayor, so much for coming on to talk about this. I'm not sure if you had any other further questions, or is there anything else that you and your team are working on that you think maybe our audiences would want to know about?
So we have been really, as you know, trying to accelerate the types of communications that we have with everyone in Scranton, in the region. And this is a really cool platform. I like this, the one that we're on right now. We do our town halls. I have a town hall live at noon every single Friday. We do it on Facebook, and you can also call in via Zoom if you don't have Facebook or the internet. So we do those every single Friday. During the height of COVID in the spring, we did them twice a week. Now we do them once a week. We talk about silver linings of COVID. That acceleration of that engagement through many platforms has been helpful. So you can always log on at noon on Fridays, and I answer all the questions that come up. You can also send your questions to Scranton311 at scrantonpa.gov if you have questions for us. But generally, we are trying to make sure that it's clear that we are here at Scranton City Government to serve you, that we are there for our city, we're there for the individuals, and that everyone will be treated equitably. That is the foundation of everything that we're doing. It's really in practice, it's a client service, customer service model where if somebody emails us, we address that as quickly as we can. Not everything gets solved overnight, but we're trying to improve this communication. It's a two-way street. We want to know what's going on out there. We want to make sure that we're working towards solutions for everyone. So I'm really proud of the work we're doing. I'm really proud of the team that we've been able to put together. COVID has, certainly thrown us some curveballs, and it's been a challenge, and it will continue to be a challenge with funding and a variety of things. But we're starting things like the Mayor's Volunteer Corps, where we're in the same way that we've got these interns that we were able to get paid through state funds. We're trying to get creative about how we utilize people who want to help and get people, young people, interns in the city government. And hopefully we've been able to hire some of them into jobs. We're trying to make it cool to work at the city. So far, we're being successful. We're getting some pretty great people. If you're ever interested in working for the city, you can go to our website, or our LinkedIn is a really easy way to see what jobs are available. Or just email Scranton311 with your resume and say, hey, look, I'm ready. I'm interested in jobs, and we have a resume bank. So there aren't a lot of jobs available, but as they come, we want to make sure that we're making it clear that a city job is actually something that's a really great way to serve your community, and really a great stepping stone to other things. So those are the things. Also, votespa.com. If you have not registered to vote and you have not requested your mail-in ballot, that's the other piece. Broken record on census and registering to vote and getting that mail-in ballot application. But those things are all related to what we're trying to do, and what you guys are trying to do with the Fringe Festival is bring people together and really enrich our community and make Scranton the best version of itself, which things like the Scranton Fringe Festival and you do. So I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to mention one more time, shameless plug. If you want to buy tickets or just learn more about what we talked about today, there's so much more we could have gone into. We're working with a lot of great arts and culture groups as part of Fringe Under Glass, from the Affa Gallery to the Black Scranton Project to Mostly Opera, Gaslight Theater Company, the Pop-Up Studio, so many individual artists. I'm not going to go on for time, and I also will inevitably forget people, so I don't want to do that. But go to scrantonfringe.org/tickets to not only secure your tickets, but learn more. Again, we cannot stress enough that purchasing your ticket in advance not only helps us, but guarantees you a spot in this safe outdoor theatrical experience. Mayor Cognetti, I am so grateful for your time and attention. We are going to wrap up for the day, but if anyone wants, if you had a question, and I apologize if we didn't get to you, or if you wanted to talk about something not related to this, please join the mayor and her team for their town halls Friday at noon right here on Facebook. We had a comment from Megan who mentioned that you can also see them on ECTV. Thank you, Megan. Or when in doubt, just email scranton311@scrantonpa.gov. We're going to call it a day. Everyone, thank you so much. Be safe, wear a mask, and we'll see you at the Fringe.
Thank you.